Someone has a question about cell phones, and it seems to branch off into emails as well.
Oh my.
Uh-huh. I recently moved to Scotland, and although the scenery is beautiful and the people warm and gracious, the thing I like most is that I don't get many cell phone calls anymore. In the US, I found people expected me to respond to them no matter what if they called me on my cell phone. I thought the idea of caller ID was to let the receiving party decide whether or not to answer the call. I don't think it's rude to not answer unsolicited calls, and my view is that I am paying for the phone and the contract, and it's mine to use as I see fit. I've had many people tell me that I was rude to not respond to their calls. I made sure that my number was not given out, put on any directory, and asked that it not be passed out, although people did so. I ended up changing my cell phone number 3 times. Are there rules about answering unsolicited phone calls, unwanted calls, and/or emails?
Yes.
And we don't have a long time. You can't write a whole book, Jay.
Okay, so yes is the answer. Yes, there are rules, and I think this is one of those areas that is under investigation at the moment, because the cell phones and iPads and all these handheld gadgets that require microscopic sized fingers to use, I think, it's a new phenomenon. So people, it hasn't really been that carefully, it's not set in stone yet. However, the rules are very similar to a regular telephone. And I think that, first of all, not everybody has caller ID. So I don't, for instance, have, well, no, I think I do actually, but sometimes the thing says private caller. Well, they're the first to don't get answered. So I think it's a handy thing to have. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, everybody has an answering service of some kind today. Well, we don't call them answering services anymore.
Answering machine. Yeah.
Answering machine, or some gadgetry that can record and take a message. So I think that if the person really wants the call to be returned, they'll leave a message. And I think that you should return the call. I think that's simple. If they don't leave a message, to hell with them. You know, I mean, I don't think that they should be slighted because they didn't leave. I get calls all the time from, well, I get it from people in my family who say, well, I've been calling you and calling you. And I said, well, you never left a message. Oh, well, no, I didn't. I said, well, how am I supposed to know that you called me? You know, I'm not psychic. And so I think that there should be, I think that you should have a certain right to answer the phone or not. And because who knows, you might not even be there when they ring. So if they want you to return the call, they leave a message, you return the call. It's that simple. You don't, but I think if you want to get into a further discussion about the use of cell phones and that sort of thing, we can do that as time allows. But I think that there are, there are common courtesies that come into play.
Yes.
And I think we as we discussed last week, with boundaries of a physical nature, where you pointing at people and waving your hands and honking and carrying on, I think that's. I think this is a very similar thing, but this is with sound instead of with the physical. And I don't think people don't want to hear you on your phone. They didn't want to hear you on your phone when you had the old princess phone, and they don't want to hear you now.
Especially in the grocery store, in a department store, it's so irritating.
And the thing is that today, through the wizardry of technology, you can speak very softly and be heard. And so, like, if you're in the grocery store, and because this would happen when you're planning your dinner party wars,
Yes.
If they don't have a certain ingredient, you would want to find out what a good substitute would be from your partner.
Okay.
And so I think that there are times when cell phones are kind of a handy thing to have in a grocery store. Now, I don't have a cell phone, and I've never used one, and I've amazingly just figured it out like they did in the olden days. But just be thankful that they have any kind of flour to choose from. But so I think that there are definitely rules that are being written. There are books that have been written about office etiquette and how you handle emails and how you handle cell phones and how you handle all of those kinds of things. And we can go into them at any length that you want. You just let me know.
Here's a question that I'm sure some people, if they don't have a call blocking system, if you pick up the phone and it's a solicitation of some sort or other, is it appropriate to, how do you get rid of them? Do you just hang up, or do you just politely say, I'm not interested, hang up? Is there a protocol for that situation?
Well, you know, this is a great question. The best answer that I can give you is I have this great friend who gets these calls at his office, and it'll be for taking a survey. Okay, so what does he do? He says, my fee is $300 an hour. You can begin whenever you'd like. And of course they shoot back, you want me to pay you? And he says, absolutely. And so then the survey ends rather quickly. Now I get calls now where you pick up the phone and there's the gong from a steamship.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So I just hang those up. Or if I get a call where there's not a person at the other end of the line, because they've got these dialing gadgets now, where there's a delay, I hang up immediately.
Yes.
Because I don't like, if anybody really needs to get a hold of me, they will get a hold of me.
Okay.
A human will call me.
Yes.
And I don't like solicitations. I'm not on any don't call me lists, because I don't know how to do that. But I think that it's an invasion of one's privacy that I disapprove of. I think it's one of these unfortunate habits that has crept into society that I hope will go sort of the way of other things that aren't so popular.
Okay, well.
Like baseball caps. But
all right, that's